Hi, welcome to Glass Academy. Today we are going to focus on what really matters on IGU, which means Insulated Glazing Unit. My name is John Petraj. So I'll be happy to present today. So today agenda, it's all about, there are 7 important points which all you need to know about in terms of IG process. So before getting into the technical fundamentals or IG process, let us begin with benefits of IGU, application of IGUs. So that's most important to understand rather than the process first. So I would start with the presentation today with the benefits of IGU. So let's begin with benefits of insulated glass unit. Energy conservation. Energy conservation in India, it's widely enormous impact. So we'll have to save the energy towards when we use a glass inside the building. So how are we going to get the energy out of benefit? So the glass and insulated unit, it's going to be highly helpful in terms of harvesting that solar energy in terms of energy conservation system. We are going to discuss on detail in upcoming slides. And perfect transparency, which is most important. The facade, it looks appealing when you're outside or when you're inside. So that it'll be connecting towards from indoor to outdoor. So you'll have to have a perfect transparency. So this insulated glaze unit will help you to see the outside world as well as inside the world. I mean outside and inside. Acoustic insulation, which is most important in normal sprawling cities, which high-rise skyscraper of buildings. All the buildings are widely used glass in recent times. So acoustic insulation, which is most useful in terms of those high-rise buildings or who are used IGU. Wherever high traffic areas like airports, hospitals, near the traffic areas of where people are commuting, like bus horn, bike horn. So in order to prevent that sound which comes inside, so the IGU will help us in a lot. We are going to discuss in a lot about it. And increased wind load strength, like when we use a facade as a glass. Because outside will not be normally, it will not be uniform. We'll have it's a tropical country. We have a winter, hot, summer, all those things. As well as we'll have a lot of wind pressure will hit on our facades. In order to avoid that deflections, to prevent those wind load, so IG will highly helpful to prevent such impact on the wind load. In cold climatic conditions, like it is aimed to reduce infiltration of the cold and hence maintain the internal heated temperature and reduces cost of heating. So which means in cold climate, when the glass, you're inside the building, the DGU, the double glaze unit, which is IGU, what we call this presently. So that will prevent you from this infiltration of the cold from outer to inside. So that you can easily inside, if you are there inside, you can easily heat the building. So because the outside cold would not come inside, because the infiltration effect is happening through this IGU, so that your cost of heating is considerably less in cold climatic. Whereas a hot climatic condition like India, like tropical countries, we have an enormous heat outside, should not come inside as well. So thereby we will be using the air conditioning system. So if you use effective glass, effective insulated glazing unit, thereby we can reduce n number of saving on air conditioning. So it will help in energy conservation. Next is the benefits of insulated glass unit is aesthetic. Yes, it depends upon what glass you are going to select. Either it's a grey glass, a solar control, or thermal insulated glass, and tinted or clear glass, what color you are going to select. So based on that color selections, your whole building facade will look uniform and pleasing look aesthetically. It's a better view you'll get from the outside as well as inside. So that's what all about it. Next, improved comfort. So improved comfort, which means you don't have enormous heat would come inside to hit you, where if you want to work near the glazing facade, if it is single glazing, you will not able to sit when the hot sunny days. So this DGU double glaze unit will prevent that those heat comes and hit you over the nearer to the occupant who is working near to the glass. So it's highly helpful for people who is inside the building for improved comfort. Less condensation. It's the condensations happen due to the temperature difference between the outside and inside. If it is the DGU is not performing, which means that there is a desiccant inside. We are going to discuss about what is desiccant inside, what is a desiccant all about. So that desiccant, if it failure or expired, so your IGU will become ineffective in terms of condensation effect. So you're not able to see the outside world, or outside people cannot see inside. So you'll have a foggy effect kind of this water moisture which is tripping around your edges of the frame, and you can see the fogging effect. So that's all about less condensation. And increased light and view. Again, so DGU is it's insulated unit. It's comprising between the two glasses. Like the glass what you select, that's most important. So thereby you have whether you want to have a more light comes in or you don't want to more light comes in. So you can select appropriate the glass based on your requirement. So this IG will help you to enable you to select those glasses, and it will help you on your occupant over there, and you can see that glass performance in your naked eyes. Energy conservation and cost saving, which you discussed about earlier. In India, we have to save energy as well as we'll have to use consumption of electricity, which means the air conditioning is however you less you use it, you're automatically saving the energy of electricity usages. So this IGU, this double glaze unit, would highly helpful for the facade or the building who is a user. So people are allowed to use because it's enormous. It's a profound saving on the energy cost in terms of less usage of air conditioning. And it allows you less space. Like for example, earlier there will be a bigger wall where you're not able to see the outside world. Now you can be able to see the world outside, and it's required only the occupant of it occupies less space than the normal wall. So your square feet cost, nowadays square feet is most important in terms of office space or residential or on the real estate nature. It's most important that the space. So this IG gets less space, gives a more sufficient space for occupant. So let's talk about the energy conservation in detail. For example, in summer, the heat gain through windows is 60%. So you'll have to protect the heat. Thereby, you have to reduce energy. The heat comes in from the outside to inside. You'll have to block that. So how we can use it with help of IGU. The same time, in winter season, you'll have a heat loss. So that also you have to be protect. If the winter time, if you're allow the glass, there is seepage of heat. It goes outside. Again, your heating of the cost of heating increases. Similarly, the cost of cooling, like when it's a summer, the cost of cooling on your building or the inside will be increases. So that's the energy conservation through this IGU is highly helpful. So if you use appropriate glass paints, is it a single silver, double silver, triple silver, what kind of U value we are going to discuss about. and perfect transparency. Transparency is the most people wants to look at outside the world. When you're in office or when you're in workspace, when you work there and what is happening around, you want to see that. You can see that even if you're in whichever story building you are there, you can see the outside world. So it will enable you to see outside the world. So the IGU does, which means the glass which will does the magic to see outside. Okay, it will have a lot of transparency, the amount of you select, the proper selection of the glass. Acoustic performance, as I earlier said, having said that, wherever the traffic areas, you need a more acoustic performance. For example, outside you have a barking dog, like it's a 70 decibel if you barking. If you use normal DGU like 4+4, you'll get a gain of 40 decibel, which is 30 decibel considerable reduction on you get on the normal single clear glass, or you can say that. Again, if you increase the thickness of the glass pane, you can see here the first and fourth one. The first is the 8 mm, which is the 8, 4+4 and 12 mm or 8 mm, 6 mm air gap, which is kept over there. You'll get a, which is basically this is 6, I mean this is 12 mm air gap given on it. You'll get a 40 decibels. Whereas the fourth column you can see outside is 70 decibels. You'll get a inside decibel is 29 decibels. So that there will be a 41 decibel, I mean considerable noise reduction has been used here with help of the selection of the glass. Basically, they are using the laminated glass as a front portion and this air gap and the glass. So if you increase the thickness of the DGU, you will get a considerable amount of acoustic performance of the glass. Having said that earlier, so the highly traffic areas which is widely used, all of the airports as IG unit, because in order to prevent that aircraft while landing or takeoff, the occupant should not get disturbed. So that's the reason nowadays wherever you go, you can see all the airports are laminated IG unit. So that's the usage have been used so far. And wind load strength, you can see there will be a two color which I distinguish between the which is low pressure and high pressure. The high pressure, which is called the red color, which is indicated, and the low pressure is blue color. You can see as if you use a facade either in the front window or be on the roof like a skylight. So what would be the wind load which is going to impact on your system, which means your glazing system. So which is described over here. So basically, if you see this window, if you use a window, you will have a more potential breakages because of the wind load. So in order to prevent that wind load to hit on your double glaze unit or window, you'll have to select appropriate panel. If you use a single glass, it will break easily. If you use IG glass, it won't break because it has a mechanically, structurally very good strength, because there are two glasses have been separated with the help of mechanical support like aluminum channel and butyl and secondary sealant like silicone used it. So it will allow you to protect that wind load comes into glass. So if you see that there is a glass original portion, it's been showcased as a dotted line. The wind load is hitting on your glass. There may be slight deflection like 2 mm, 3 mm deflections, which is allowable. If the high wind load, which is keep on hitting on your window, so the deflections, so that the primary silicon which allows the DGU to shift it, the glass can shift. And again, one more, the tempering, like tempered glass will allow to protect the wind load also. It's complete, it's like a uniform, unique support from each part of IGU. Each part will do the rest of work in terms of wind load protections.